And we're back. I am Melissa, the principal designer for Timeless Designs. I am the, I think, only interior designer who only wears red shoes because there is no place like your home. So let's get started. I decided it's September. We're going to start a new topic. So in September, we're talking about all things bathrooms. Now today is sinks. So to keep things not going on forever and ever, I've decided I'm going to pick 3 topics within sinks and then a couple of things within sinks that on each one of those that we can talk about. So the first one we're going to chat about is types. There are different types of sinks. There are vessel sinks, and those are sinks that sit on top of the countertop. There's a variety of different styles of vessel sinks, but those essentially have a hole cut out for the drain, and then the sink sits on top of the countertop. There are hybrids. We'll talk about that next because that's kind of a mix between like a drop-in sink and a vessel sink. So you may have seen some of those really big, really cool modern square sinks. Those are essentially a drop-in vessel hybrid / type of sink because it's not underneath the countertop. It's not necessarily dropped into because it's, but you know, whatever. So there are different hybrid types of sinks. That would be an example of one. We'll talk about farmer sinks because those have been really hot lately. So farmer sinks, you've probably seen, can be an undermount sink, and the front of it, you can see the front apron of the sink. Now this is really important to, for the cabinets, we need to know about that. This is probably more of a kitchen, not in a bathroom, but maybe. Maybe you want a really great big sink. Maybe you have dogs. Maybe your cats like to take baths. I don't know. Or you've got lots of grandkids. So if you want a great big sink, maybe that is the best option for you in your bathroom. I don't know. It all depends. So that is where you see the front of the sink. And in the cabinetry then, there is different process for that as well as for the countertop. And so that is something that has to sort of be pre-planned out. Any of the sinks, when you have stone tops or really any kind of tops, the fabricator is going to want to have the specs of the sink. Sometimes they want to have the sink itself. So if you have a handmade clay sink of some sort, the fabricator is going to want that because they're going to have to, there's going to be some variation if it's handmade, if it's metal. So then there's, those are farmer sinks, apron sinks. And then we have drop-in sinks. So those are traditional, like if you have a laminate countertop, you can also get a not drop-in with laminate, which are really fantastic. So drop-in is essentially the hole is cut for the sink and then the sink sits on top and then overlaps where the hole is. And so those have been really traditional in bathrooms. They're not super functional for cleaning, and so that is why undermounts have been super popular of recent. And so if you're cleaning off your countertop and your sink is sitting on top of it, excuse me, I've got a frog, then you can't like just put it into the sink. And so that leads us to undermount sinks. Undermount sinks are fantastic for many reasons. Again, your countertop and then your sink sits underneath it. And so if you are cleaning or your cleaning person is cleaning, it's so much easier to just wipe off the counter and then into the sink. There isn't like a lip to get over. There isn't any caulking on the outside that can get gummy or have to be fixed or any of those things. So undermount sinks are really great for functionality. Now it still does get caulked, so at the meeting place of the countertop and the sink, the installer is going to put a bead, typically of clear silicone, and then that gets mounted. And so it is watertight. There isn't going to be, you know, any water going back and forth where it's not supposed to. And so those are really, really fantastic. So those are types of sinks. Now we're going to move on to topic number 2, material. So sinks are made of many, many things. They can be very utility style. They could be very unique and crafty and artsy. It's really an expression of you, your home, and your space and your lifestyle. So sinks can again be just a white undermount round or rectangular sink, or, you know, whatever. But you can really take a sink and make the space yours. So the different materials are glass. Now these tend to be vessel sinks. I will say vessel sinks are more like a powder room half bath, at least the bowl style ones. They can be messy. And so if you're washing your face and you kind of splash a lot, I do, a vessel sink is it's really great for just washing your hands, because even then it kind of splashes a bit. So that's kind of back to types, but materials. So a glass vessel sink can be a multitude of different colors, multiple colors. They can have different patterns. They can be different shapes. They can be really, really, really cool. So again, an expression of you and your space. So if you have a really unique powder room, maybe some wall covering and a really cool vessel sink that really plays off of each other. So those can be really fun. Metal. I am currently working on a house where we are putting in a hand-hammered front apron farmer's undermount sink. And so it is super cool. Those are a type of sink that need to be on site because it's metal. It could, you know, be out of shape slightly. And so those also come in a vessel sink. Those also come in just an undermount. They come in a drop-in, and those can come smooth, different textures. So those can be really, really fun too. They don't have to just be copper. There's stainless steel, which, you know, in commercial applications is totally relevant. Then we have stone. So I really love seeing a stone countertop, especially in like a more modern contemporary application, where the countertop and the sink are the same material. I think that's super cool. So you can have your sink made out of stone. It can also be a vessel sink where it sits on the countertop and it's made of a variety of different types of stones. And then we have porcelain, which is probably the most common type of sink. And those can be different shapes and sizes and colors. So you can, I don't know that it comes in the pea green of the 70s, but it does come, many of them come in a variety of different colors. So typically we go with white, unless maybe you have a black countertop, then a black sink is probably more applicable. But if we're talking bathrooms, it all really depends. So when clients ask, what should I do? What is everybody else doing? What's the most common? It really just honestly depends, because each client and each application is so different. And so we don't just like, here's the bathroom plan. It's all like, we're literally reinventing the wheel for every single project. Now it's the same process, but the design aspect of it, every single project is reinventing the wheel. So, and I should add, I really enjoy having unique and individual items for clients. So like this wall covering behind me, I would not use that for two different clients. So if one client has it, I'm sorry, Mrs. Smith, you cannot have it, because that is Mrs. Jones's wall covering. I don't say that, but I don't re-specify things. Now, sinks, maybe, just because functionality, but okay, so back to materials. See, I have post-it notes to keep me on track. Concrete, so those are really cool as well. Those can be made, there's been some commercial applications I've seen where you've got your countertop and then the sink is sort of like a little slant, and then there's the linear drain piece. Those are really cool, but again, that is probably more of a modern and contemporary applications. If you're more traditional, maybe transitional, it would work, but traditional is not really probably something that would fit, although there are generalities, but no specific rules. So if it's done right and well, it would work. And then there can be wood sinks. Now there's going to be a little more maintenance and things like that, but I've seen some really cool wood sinks that probably are vessel sinks. And again, vessel sinks are not like everyday use, I would suggest. There can also be mixed different types of sinks. So again, if you have a very artsy space, maybe you have a combination of like concrete and some like glass things, or so there are an assortment of materials for sinks. It all depends on your personality, your lifestyle, your design, and what works for your space. Okay, so our last topic, last one of the day, size and shape. So what size sink do you need? That's a fantastic question. So if you are doing a lot of things in your bathroom, washing your face, if you need a deeper bowl, you would probably know, because they're a couple of inches deep, but sometimes you can find a deeper bathroom sink. If it's your everyday use bathroom, I would say a bigger sink is better. I prefer rectangular sinks if we can do that, only because you're going to get more surface area of your sink. Round sinks are really great. They're very traditional, but then you just have this, whereas if you have a rectangular, you've got a wider surface area for your sink. So that sort of plays into size and shape. Quantity and vanity space kind of go hand in hand. So those are my other two topics I want to chat about. So depending on the amount of space you have for your vanity will possibly dictate how many sinks you can have. So if you have like a 36-inch space, one sink is really going to be tight. Again, it depends on your application. So if this is your kid's bathroom and you've got 3 kids, you're going to want probably to have 2 sinks, because if they're young now, as they get older and they're getting ready for school, because that's where we are in the world, then having 2 sinks where one can be brushing teeth, the other can be brushing teeth, or washing face, whatever, having enough space for each person functionality wise on your vanity is really important. And so if you have a kind of a small vanity and you stick 2 sinks in it, there's not going to be a lot of countertop space, and there's not going to be a lot of like workable space. Future lives we'll talk about furniture and seating spacing, but it sort of applies to sinks as well. You don't want to be like, brushing your teeth with your elbows in. You want to be comfortably standing at your sink, obviously. And so those are, again, it just depends on your situation, what you're trying to achieve in your bathroom. So if you're building, think about those things ahead of time. Storage is, I mean, we're still talking about sinks, but you know, if you have a large sink in your vanity, you're going to have less space underneath your sink area. And so that's going to take up some storage space, and maybe that's okay. But think about different type of sink that would maybe be functional for you, the kinds of materials that you really like, and different sizes and shapes to help, you know, facilitate the functionality, which will then bring you into how amazing your bathroom is. So I was thinking this morning, I'm gonna get a little bit cheesy here, but if I told you that you could have 72 extra hours, how fantastic would that be? Pretty sure you're shaking your head, because that would be great. I know I would love that. So 72 hours would be 3 days. You could snuggle up on the sofa and watch some movies with your family. You could go on a vacation, get some well-deserved R&R, or just, you know, catch up on your to-do list, whatever it might be. The goal of Timeless Designs is to literally give you 72 hours of your life. So you don't have to go to all of the showrooms and look at the different types of sinks and the different materials and to know, like, well, what size sink do I need? That's our job. And so we love to provide turnkey interiors and designs for our clients, because we love that. That's totally our thing. Making all of the selections, all of the materials, all of the specifications, and then we present that to our clients and they say, oh, I love it. Maybe we need to change this, or can we look at something like that? And so our whole goal is to be able to give you time back in your life so you can go to ball games and hang out with your family and your friends while we do the heavy lifting and the work, because we love it. And then in the end, you have a fantastic space. Your money's invested wisely in all of the things that you were hoping and dreaming for in your space. So if you have projects coming up, or have friends or family have projects coming up, and they're wanting some time back in their life, or don't have time to go and search for all of the things, that is right up our alley. We do offer consultations after we do a discovery call. So if that's something you think maybe you would be interested in, let us know, because that is, like I said, I love design. It is fantastic, because even though we are reinventing the wheel every single time, that wheel is a very special wheel to each and every client. So that is it for today. We are talking about plumbing next week. So all things bathrooms and plumbing is next week. I will be here same time, same place. I will see you then.